Now imagine this. You had it all planned out. The charming French village, the local market, your entire retirement dream. You can already picture yourself sitting at a small cafe, reading a book, a world away from the life you were leaving behind.
And then a single piece of paper brings it all crashing down. Your French visa was denied. Just like that. After years of dreaming and months of planning, one bureaucratic stamp puts a stop to everything. So now you have a choice to make. Do you fight this soul crushing decision, or do you give up on France entirely?
This video walks through what happens when your dream hits a brick wall and what you can do to start tearing it down.
Welcome back to the Europats. My name's Diane. This is my husband, Matt. And if you're new here, welcome. We're glad to have you.
For so many people, it's always been France. This isn't some casual choice. It can be a decade-long obsession. You've spent countless holidays exploring different regions, from the sun-drenched fields of Provence to the quiet, rolling hills of Dordogne.
And then you finally find it. A small village, maybe in the cruise department or somewhere like that, a place where the rhythm of life seems to be set by the seasons and not the clock.
This is never just about retiring, it's about reinventing your life. You imagine finally learning the language beyond clumsy tourist phrases, knowing the local baker name, and having your go to table at the weekly market.
You spend years saving, planning your finances down to the last euro, and deep diving into the culture. You aren't just planning a move, you're planning the final, most fulfilling chapter of your life. That dream feels so real, so close that the visa application seems like a simple formality. The last little step before your new life can begin. The application for the long stay visitor visa, the VLS-TS visitor, is the most common route for non-EU retirees. And it is a process. You have to gather a detailed and specific set of documents.
You get your passport, valid for years. You write a letter detailing your motivations, making a solemn promise that you have no intention of working in France. It feels like you're pouring your whole heart onto this page.
You assemble all of your financial documents showing your pension and savings, which you have carefully calculated to be well above the required minimum income, which is an amount based on the French minimum wage, or SMIC.
You secure what you think is a rock solid private health insurance policy, one that will cover you for the entire year. You even secure proof of accommodations, which could be a preliminary rental agreement for a little cottage just outside of the village.
You submit the whole file, feeling a sense of real accomplishment. You've crossed every T and you've dotted every I. You track the application online, patiently waiting for the notification telling you to come collect your passport, complete with its precious visa. You were so confident. You followed every single rule. What could possibly go wrong?
The notification you've been waiting for finally arrives. Your passport is ready for collection. Your heart starts pounding as you head to the visa center. But when you get the package and open it, your passport is there, but there's no visa sticker inside. Instead, there's a formal letter.
The French is dense and tough to get through, but one phrase stands out: absolute and final. Votre demande Tes visas a été refusé. Your visa request has been denied. You just stare at it and cry.
Like I would.
It doesn't even feel real. First comes a wave of disbelief, then a hot flush of anger. It can feel personal, like some kind of judgment.
You've poured your heart, your life savings, and all of your future hopes into that application, only to be dismissed with a form letter. The reason they give is vague. Something like, the information provided about the conditions of your stay was incomplete or unreliable. It's a bureaucratic wall with no clear explanation and no one to talk to. Just a crushing, final sounding decision.
Your dream of retiring in that charming French village isn't just on hold, it feels like it's just been executed. After the initial shock and frankly the disgust wears off, you know you can't just sit around feeling defeated. You have to understand why. This is the point where emotion has to take a back seat to analysis.
A rejection feels like a final no, but often it's really a not yet, based on a very specific set of criteria. So let's break down the most common reasons a long stay visitor visa gets denied, because someone else's mistake could be the one that saves your application. First and most common is insufficient proof of financial means. France needs to know you can support yourself without working or leaning on their social system.
The absolute minimum is tied to the French minimum wage, or SMIC, which for a single person in 2025 is around 1,800 euros gross per month. But here's the critical part. It's not just about having the money, it's about proving it in a way that's crystal clear to the visa officer. This means easy to read bank statements, official pension letters, and proof of other income. If your finances are complicated, your job is to make them look simple.
Second, inadequate health insurance. This is a huge tripwire. A standard travel policy just won't cut it. Your policy must cover you for the entire duration of your stay, at least 12 months, and be valid for a resident in France.
It needs to be comprehensive, often with a minimum coverage of 30,000, and it needs to cover things like hospitalization and repatriation. If your policy looks more like a tourist plan than a resident plan, it will likely be rejected.
Third, unconvincing proof of accommodations. You need a solid plan for where you will live. A hotel booking for a few weeks is usually not enough for a long stay visa.
You need to provide more concrete evidence, which can be a title deed if you own a property, a formal letter from a host called an attestation de QL, or a rental agreement. The consulate needs to be sure that you have a stable place to live when you arrive.
Not homeless. And finally, the catch all, incomplete or incorrect documentation. This could be anything from a missing signature to forgetting the letter where you promised not to work in France. Every single box on that application matters.
Trying to dig through all of the reasons and figure out what went wrong can make you feel completely powerless, like you're trying to solve a puzzle without all of the pieces. Have you ever been caught in a bureaucratic nightmare like this, where the rules felt impossible to figure out? Share your story in the comments below. Reading about other people's experiences can be a huge help, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. I know in our lives, we have had people that have had their visa rejected.
Yes.
And while it's devastating and it freaks people out sometimes to hear about it, it is good to hear about these things so that you can, learn from them and try to prevent if you can figure out what it was. So
Right.
it is good to hear other people's stories.
So, with that rejection letter in hand, you find yourself at a crossroads with three very different paths stretching out in front of you. The first path is the appeal. Now, this is the fighter's path. France has a formal appeal process, but you have to act fast. For a long stay visa, you have just 30 days from the rejection to file for a challenge.
Y'all are about to hear me butcher a lot of words. But the first mandatory step in an appeal is to a special commission called, here we go, the Commission des recours contre les décisions de refus des visas d'entrée en France, or the CRRV. I'm going to go with that.
Who knew?
Sheesh, a mouthful. Dang! How bad did I butcher it, y'all? This appeal has to be written in French and sent by mail to an office in Nantes. The CRRV reviews your case and can recommend that the visa be granted. If you don't hear back within 2 months, it's considered an implicit rejection.
If that fails, you can then take your case to the administrative court in Nantes. The upside? You get a chance to fix the mistake and save your dream. The downside? It's a long, complex, and potentially expensive process that often requires an immigration lawyer to navigate the French legal system. The second path is the reapplication. Instead of fighting the old decision, you just start over. This can be faster and more practical than a formal appeal, especially if your rejection was due to a clear error and you know exactly how to fix it. So you correct the problems, gather your documents all over again, pay another application fee, and submit a brand new, stronger application.
The pro is that it's a clean slate. The con is that there's no guarantee the outcome will be any different, and you're right back to waiting.
And then there's the third path, the toughest one to think about, the new dream. This is the path of letting go. It's asking yourself if the bureaucratic fight is worth the emotional toll. Maybe the rejection isn't a wall, but a signpost pointing you somewhere new.
And there are other incredible options. There's other European countries that have wonderful programs for retirees. Spain's non-lucrative visa, Portugal's D7 visa, and Italy's elective residency visa. They are all fantastic alternatives with beautiful cultures and lifestyles.
After weeks of agonizing, weighing the pros and cons, and more than a few sleepless nights, it's time to make a decision. Which path do you take?
If you decide to fight, to appeal, you have to be ready. A dream built over years of genuine love for a country and a culture is worth fighting for. To let a bureaucratic hiccup, a potential misunderstanding over a piece of paper destroy that can feel like a betrayal of all of the work and passion that you've put in.
For many, this is about more than just a place to live. It's about not letting a system defeat you when you know that you meet the requirements.
If that's your choice, the path forward can start right now. The first step is getting professional help. You should consider consulting an immigration attorney that specializes in French visa appeals. Together, you can draft the appeal to the CRRV directly addressing their vague reason for denial with an overwhelming amount of evidence.
This means gathering updated financial statements, a more detailed letter from your insurance provider, and even testimonials. It's all about building an undeniable case.
Yep. Now, if you're watching this because you got this dreaded rejection letter, please hear this. It is not the end. We know how crushing it feels, how it makes you question everything, but you do have options.
Whether you choose to appeal, reapply, or find a new dream in Portugal, Spain, or Italy, the power is still in your hands. This is just an obstacle, and obstacles are meant to be overcome.
We'll be sharing more guides in the future and details about the appeal process right here on this channel to help you understand the legal hurdles, the paperwork, and the emotional ups and downs. So if you want to follow along and learn more, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified of when our next video will be out, which will be next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central. You can also support us over on our Patreon page, our Buy Me a Coffee page, or if you want to become a member of this channel, just click the link below. We also have merch if you would like to get any of our merch. Matt got a new shirt.
I got me a new long sleeve shirt.
Every little bit helps, y'all.
Most importantly, if you've been through this yourself, share your advice and your stories in the comments. Your experience could be the lifeline that helps someone else navigate these murky waters and finally reach the shore. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next week.
Aviento.